Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Stripped by Sia, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the fancy naked people in between. I am your host, Steph Sia, aka Kimchi on stage. You can catch me dancing on a stage near you if you live in Vancouver, Canada. I am typically found on many different stages of many different strip clubs over there. Feel free to peep my Instagram if you want to find me at some point. I am also a digital content creator, so I do have an OnlyFans, and I was also a former sugar baby many, many moons ago. And now I am the host of the show. I've been doing this show for the past almost 3 years at this point, where I bring on different adult industry guests, porn stars, we got cam girls, models, we have people from behind the scenes, production companies, we have lots of people from many, many different walks of life in regards to the sex industry. And I do this show in order to help destigmatize the industry because, as we all know, this work is highly stigmatized. There's lots of comments and assumptions that are made up and around it. And I just want to do my little part in the world in terms of like destigmatizing that and providing some real education from people that are actually in the industry. So, before we get started with this week's guest, I just want to do a quick little shout out here to our Patreon subscribers. So we've got some people in the top tier who get some nice little fan recognition shout outs on each episode. So we got Snoo all the way from Germany. We also have Jay Suncern, who's local here to Vancouver. We also have Justin Erickson, who's based in the States, and Arip Sarkar, who I believe is also in British Columbia, in Canada as well. Thank you so much for subscribing to the show. There are 3 different tiers you can choose from, as low as $4, which is a price of a coffee. So if you want to support the show, feel free to check out our Patreon. It is patreon.com/stripped by Sia, and you could peep the video exclusive there only on Patreon. And yeah, thank you so much in advance for supporting the show. I super and truly appreciate that. But of course, all that jargon aside, I am really excited to bring on this week's guest. And a lot of you might recognize the name. I am bringing on Cindy Starfall, who is an amazing, wonderfully talented porn star, entrepreneur, model, all the things, really well known in the adult industry. You might recognize her face in case you are watching. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things today. So we're going to be talking about the difference of stigmatization and even some fetishization in regards to different cultures. So specifically her culture and also North American culture, how we view sex work, how we talk about sex work, how we treat sex workers, and what that conversation is all about. Really looking forward to getting into that. And also we're going to be speaking about entrepreneurialism because Cindy is a huge, huge entrepreneur that I also recently found out that she does many different ventures and many different gigs. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Cindy Starfall, are you there?
I am here, babe.
Hello,
How are
welcome to Strip
you?
by Sia. I'm so good. I am really excited that we can get you on the show and really just kind of dig into all the topics. Also, get our audience to get to know you in case you're not familiar. But how did I do? Did I name all the things that you do? I'm sure I missed a few things.
No, yes, you name you name a lot of them, and I love your background as well. It's very nice to be able to talk to someone who is also in the sex workers industry.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me.
Yeah, it's really cool that you dance at the club at night, and then during the day you do the podcast. It's amazing.
Lots of things going on, like yourself. And that is
Yeah, and I
definitely.
feel like a lot of people don't understand that, you know. A lot of people just say, "Oh, well, sex work is not real work or not real job," but we actually do a lot.
We do a lot, and it's so commonplace as we're going to get into the conversation today. Like, so many people are sex workers. A lot of people moonlight as sex workers. I juggle a lot of different things, you as well. So, like, I really want to talk about that aspect and that normalization of it as well. Like, it's, I don't know, not as weird as people think. So I'm so excited to kind of get into that conversation later on. But I mean, for those who are not familiar with you and your work and your wonderful content that you make for everyone, I'd love for you to kind of go into your story in terms of like, how did you get started in sex work? Like, what is that all about? Please, please tell us.
Well, I'm originally from Vietnam and I was born and raised there for 15 years. And I come to America on foreign exchange student program. So after finishing with college, I was offered leadership roles in like a normal corporate world. And but to pay off my student loan, I have to do like moonlighting, like you said. At night, I do webcamming and just to pay off the student loan. Um, but how I got into the business is very interesting because on the same day that the HR people confronted me about my webcamming business, which is I didn't think it would even matter because I keep the both jobs separately. Um, and then that same night a hustler executive we happened to we just happened to be at the same place same time. It's almost like God telling me like this is it, this is
Yeah.
like it just like happened. I didn't know who he was. He told me who he was and he asked have I ever done any like adult work, and I said, well, outside of webcam I don't know how to model. I've never been in front of the camera before. I came from Vietnam and I never been to strippers, and I love the strippers, the way you guys dance and stuff. So when he asked me, I was a little nervous. I'm like, I don't know, I only been in front of the webcam. So he said, you know what? Here's my contact information. Hit me up on Monday, and we talk about Hustler Centerfold.
Oh my God.
So I feel they it just like found me, like God just kept pouring to me. Like I didn't find it, but I was already over the other job because during that same morning they told me how like webcamming is not acceptable in our business when it was just like solely separate. I am not Cindy when I'm at work, and when I'm at work. So I just feel like they were, because it's a more normal corporate world, that I feel they make me feel ashamed because they literally print out like a pictures, like a webcamming pictures, and they really just like give it to me like that.
Oh,
Like,
oh my
here,
God.
this is it was like embarrassing because in the HR office was the other people's there, and she printed out my profile pictures, the pictures you use all sexy on like
Oh my
webcam site.
God.
And she would print it out and she'd say, "Is this you?" I said, "Well, I mean, it's me, obviously."
Yeah.
I
Oh
can't
my
deny
God.
no more.
No. Okay, wait, wait. Hang on. Back up, back up, back up. Because just we'll probably need a little bit of context as well. Because I know I briefly know the story, but like, can you tell the audience too, like, what exactly happened, where you were at with this job, basically how you got outed, and like what happened with HR, just in case. Because like I know you said you were webcamming for a little bit and stuff, but yeah, tell us about like the other job and like how this even like came to fruition.
Well, this job, I was in a college, so before you graduate, they usually have like recruiters from like different company to come into the college, and your teacher, if your teacher likes you, they almost like what you call like voted for you to be on top, so you get a job
Oh yeah.
when you before you even graduate.
Yeah, it's like a placement
So
or like field
yeah,
study or something like that. Yeah, for sure.
so I didn't have to look for a job after you graduate. So this company came in, is a big corporate company. He came in and he recruited me, and he said he saw my grades. I would honestly, I'm a huge nerd, so a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people just think porn star is dumb. There's like so many people that's so smart in this industries, and I'm so happy to be around like you or like people, smart women out there. So anyway, after I graduated, they gave me a leadership position in this company, and I worked there for about a years, 2 years. And one day I got a call from HR like, "Hi, can you come to the office?" And I was like, "What can this possible be? I mean, I know I do webcamming, but I mean, there's no way they would even find out."
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, because it's completely separate. Like there's yeah.
It's completely separate. I work 9 to 5 and then I webcam like 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Like you will have to come across me or know what I already be doing. So when I got in the HR office, they literally printed out me a paper like, "Hey, this is you. And I felt like I just feel like a little bit like ashamed, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and
Like
it's
it
so
just like, well,
intrusive.
it's like, yeah, that's me, but okay, yeah, I do that so that I have my own reasoning why I do it, and I feel like I need to explain to them, like, well, yeah, I did it because I have to pay for tuition, like,
Duh.
because a foreign exchange student tuition, if you don't know, America actually charges us double on top of the actual if you resident no if you're citizenship you can get grants and all that stuff, but as a foreign exchange student you don't. So
Yeah,
so
like
I had
foreign students for sure, like, and even out of state students. Like, if you live in that specific state, you'll get the quote unquote the cheapest. I mean, if you have a grant or if you have a scholarship, then that's the cheapest, but you have to maintain that. But even out of state students will have to pay higher. And then I can't even imagine the price for foreign exchange students. That's, as you mentioned, like double the price.
yeah, so it's double, and my family couldn't pay for. My family was the one that bring me here, but I was falling out with my family because I was being such a troublemaker with like masturbating in my room and was kind of like just run away. It was just God. I just have like a rap sheet on my family. Just wasn't
And we'll definitely go into those details later.
so that's why they decided to send me over to another country.
Wow.
But I wanted to make my own money, and that's what I love porn because I wanted the freedom and I want to make my own name. I didn't want my family to pay for the tuition anymore. So I decided to take it on by myself because they didn't want me to go to school. They wanted to be like a nurse and marry a rich guy or whatever it is.
Yep.
Um, I just wanted to make a name for myself. Um, so after to go back to the HR office, she says, "It's you?" And I say, "Yeah, it's me. You know, I gotta pay. But I don't like bring it up to work and stuff." And she's like, "Well, this is not acceptable." Is She didn't fire me though. She didn't fire me, but she made me feel ashamed, and everybody knows about it. That I would decide to quit. So that I feel like that was a trick.
Yeah, that's awful. Oh my gosh, that's so fucked up. Like, so people in your office knew about what had happened, or was like a rumor kind of spread? Like, officers
Yeah,
are like,
yeah, and you know how it feels like, in a normal, like I'm talking like corporate, like very conservative, like can make sex joke kind of stuff. And also like, this guy is also webcamming. And this is like, years ago. So the concept of sex worker is just very taboo. Like, oh my gosh, she's a slut. So I will have people like texting me, like, oh, you know what, she's a slut, she's this, uh, and oh, we can eat her cookies that she baked because what if we get STDs and all that
what the
stuff. It's
hell?
like what?
Oh
Like
my god, grow up.
there, yeah, like there are some people out there that are so close-minded,
Very.
and I'm just like, I pray to God to you. I'm not here to change your opinion. I just feel like I'm just at the point when if you're not okay with what I do, well, then that's your problem, you know?
Yeah, totally. That's not on you. That's on them. Like, I'm so tired of like trying to gatekeep other people's feelings, and it's really
Yeah,
exhausting. You know.
it is. And it's like it stress you out. When I was in my 20s, yeah, of course, I care about everybody's feeling. But now I'm in my 30s, girl, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I just like, you know what? Like, you don't like what I do. This is what I do. I'm a porn star. And I also do other things. If you just like prefer to just sit at home, watch a bunch of Netflix about like porn documentary and things is real or whatever, then that's on you. It's
Hmm.
like I'm just tired of explaining myself to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, it's just like we don't have the emotional capacity for that, and it's just really like if you really want to like lay it out there, at least try to have an actual conversation with us and empathize with what we do and try to understand what we do instead of making
Yeah.
assumptions, right?
But they don't. They don't try to understand it. It's like I have like a hard struggle with my family. My mom's constantly asking me, "Well, did you do it? Like, did someone force you to do it?" Because people always think going to sex work is somebody's forcing you, or almost like sex trafficking. And I told her, "No, I did it by myself. I I show up on set. I did my consent form. I did it all myself. Nobody forced me. Nobody. But I want to tell her, look, I like sex, and I can make money out of it. I know how to capitalize on this business. So you just need to let me be and trust me, because I told myself that, I'm not gonna lose myself. I'm over this industry because it is an entertainment business. So
It
you
is.
have to have thick skin. I'm sure you deal with a lot of assholes out there, telling you to do things that you don't want to do at the club or something, but it's up to you. Just like, you know what, fuck off. Like, this is me. And I feel like that's what I told her. But I think in what's it called, in Vietnamese culture, sex work is still like dirty money,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. Definitely still seen as that. It's very like old school. Like I know you came to America at 15, you mentioned?
Hmm.
Yeah, so I like how is sexuality viewed in Vietnamese culture, and like even like from back then when you were still living there? Is it something that's talked about at all? Is it still really taboo, or like give us the landscape and lowdown of like what it was like growing up?
It's funny because Vietnamese people, we're very sexual individuals, right?
Yes.
Like, I know so many like haircut or salon that does the things that they do, and it's more like secretive. We don't have like strip clubs like out there. Oh, his sex is more like something like hush hush, but where's this go, and this salon and this karaoke bar that you can get girls and hang out with you and stuff like that. So we have that side of us in this business, but it's still, people still look at it as very bad and dirty, when for me,
Like
it's more like,
shady.
well, sex is sex. Yeah, sex is sex. The girl's gotta do what she gotta do. If I feel like if two adults consent to it, it's not bad because it's still a job.
Yeah, it's still a job, and there's definitely nothing wrong with it. Like, I just feel like, and this is, I also had someone on, Dominatrix Amber from Singapore, and of course, when we talk about how sex work is viewed in Asian culture, it's very different than North American culture. Like, very, as you mentioned, like hush hush, and different contexts and different ways that it is portrayed. Like, for example, I visited Cambodia a few years ago. Well, I guess more than a few years ago now. I just don't take these COVID years into consideration. But I was I was there with one of my best friends, and we were in Siem Reap, and we had met someone. I think it was like one of our drivers, and he's like, "Oh, we should go out tonight," and blah blah blah. I was like, "Yeah, we should go out tonight. It's fun. Like, we should go for karaoke." And I did not know the context of what karaoke meant, because I'm Filipino and we love to
Yeah.
sing. So I'm like, karaoke, hells yes.
Oh.
Like, I love this. I will out sing anyone. This is like gonna be so much fun. And then we go there, and then they start ordering drinks, which is fine. They start ordering food, which is fine. Still the same like North American culture. But then I remember walking in through the karaoke bar, and the entrance was like lined up with girls. And I was like,
Hmm.
this is
Yeah.
interesting. And then later they just kept feeding us alcohol. The owner of the bar kept coming in and was like, oh, you should go home with that person. I'm like, go home. I'm like, I'm here on vacation and I'm not going home with anyone. And they kept trying to like push us to go home with these men and try to get us really drunk to go home with these men. And then, of course, as we were leaving, we can see that some of the girls were going into the other rooms with other gentlemen, and we're just like, oh, this is definitely very different
Different. Yeah.
than what I'm used to from
Yeah,
home.
and see, I'm telling you, like it, and that's considered normal in Vietnam, but no one talk about it. Even though there's a lot of girls that do that, there's another thing we call coffee shop, Vietnamese coffee shops. When think of Hooter, but like more like crazy. Like the girls would serve you coffee in lingerie, and they would sit there, and you would tip them. You can take them home, or you can gamble. Just more like a companion, like they
Yeah,
kind of
date
like what you
companion,
experience in a karaoke.
right?
Yeah,
Which
and I feel like it's everywhere. It's everywhere, and you would think it's acceptable, but in people's mind, they're not open-minded enough to accept that, so and so worked there at karaoke.
mhm. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you've ever been back home, but do you think those attitudes have changed or shifted in Vietnamese culture? Is it still kind of the same?
No, you know why? Because my dad also owned one of the karaoke bars
Oh,
sometime.
oh,
So
really? Wow.
yes, so he's like a businessman and he owns one of it. And look, he doesn't like sex. When he figure out find out this he doesn't like it. But even though it's very hypocrite, like it's almost like people who watch porn and say that porn is bad, or
Yes.
I would never marry a porn star because she's a porn star, but I watch porn.
Right.
So
Yeah. It's very
um
hypocritical. So,
yeah,
oh my gosh, this is nuts. I mean, continue. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
so as a daughter back then, I will always remember he would have girls like, he would call girls in with this client, he would call him in, them in, and they would just show up, like they lived nearby, and they would just show up and kind of like go into the karaoke rooms, like you said it was. And the whole point is, yes, yeah, get the person really drunk so that they can take them home, and he gets permission of it, and it's just like everybody knows about this business, and that's why it's so funny that is sex toy. You cannot have sex toy going into Vietnam. You cannot talk about sex. You can't talk about strip clubs or even hookers, anything, but it's going back there. So it's a little bit like, I love my cultures a lot, but when it comes to sex, it's not something they want to talk about. And to them, they always very like, oh my God, no, she got to be a nurse, she got to be a doctor, and all
Yes.
this stuff.
Oh my, I can completely relate. Like, my mom was a nurse, and like, my dad, and just, I hate to generalize, but like Asian parents, they want you to be these really, they want you to be successful, but they only see it in one kind of light.
Yeah,
Lawyer,
I get
doctor.
it. Yeah, I get it because it's like stability, But look, I have a lot of nursing student friends that never graduate because it takes so long.
Yes.
And or if they graduate, they literally in debt, so they just want to get married, so they never use the degree, and they're not having fun. I think to me, life is about doing what you love and also have fun with it. Get a freedom, freedom to do whatever you want, to travel, or and that's what something I didn't have back then when I used to live in Vietnam. My dad was very strict, so I just wanted to have my own freedom and not having this, my Asian family keep telling me what to do. Like this, I didn't have a chance to make my own decision. Like every day, it was like, you do this, you do that. It's exhausting for me. I didn't want to live that life again. So in order to do that, I have to be success in what I do. And I feel like, with porn, I love sex. I love being in front of the camera. I get turned on when people watch me. So I'm like, you know what? I will make a business out of this, and I'll see what's gonna happen. And because I have nowhere to return to, I have to make this successful.
Oh, definitely. So you almost have like an extra drive or motivation to like, I really have to make this work because I can't go back
Yeah.
home, right?
Yes, because how am I gonna show my face back then and say, "Oh, Dad, I fail." I need to like, of what you say. So it's more, I need to be successful. I need to show him that I can make this my own business. And this are other people. There are other sex worker out there that is smart and pretty and not like, like druggies or like a lot of people thinks that we are.
Yeah, they think that we're dumb. They think that we're high in drugs all the time. Substance abuse and whatnot. And it's really incorrect. I want to say,
Yeah, and it's almost sometimes I get mad, like
yeah.
because I could be hot. I could have a hot head. I could be very hot headed when people like attack the industry, like or attack like sex worker. I have met so many like pretty strippers when I'm on tour, and you guys is just beautiful and nice, just like you. And when people say, "Well, no, I can't do that because they got STD, or I can't talk to her," or they always use drugs, did they have daddy issues, did their
Oh,
dad
yeah.
abuse them, that's why they got into porn. It's like, okay, like these kind of stuff that happen in a mainstream acting
Yeah.
Hollywood as well. There's people go to rehab, drugs addictions. How come no one's talk about it? But as soon as a porn star like die from like a drug addiction, it's all over the news. Like, oh my
Oh
God,
yeah.
another porn star. And
Yeah.
it's just like it's happened in every industry. Not everyone's the same.
Yeah, they just focus on like buzzwords. And I feel like anytime someone is in the adult industry, it's like so much focus only goes on that, despite their other achievements. That's like the only thing that sticks in that conversation or in that headline. So it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's crazy because I could just do interview one time for this college newspapers, and I did it, and I talk about like this kind of stuff. I just talk about, some people just don't not aware that not all of us are druggies. And of course, when they printed out the cover story, they put Cindy Starfall, career and drugs.
What?
Like I said that I use drugs. I say I didn't do that. Like you guys twisting my words
Yeah. Oh
that
my God.
and you just so it make it so people will buy the newspaper by saying porn, drugs, and
Yeah.
addiction.
Yeah, it's buzzwordy. It's like very like clickbaity as well, but that's so frustrating. And I assure you, none of that stuff will happen on this show. So don't worry about being misquoted or anything like that.
Yeah, thanks. When I printed out, I was so mad. I told my publicist like I didn't talk about anything like that. I talk about like like this happened with any other industry that is not just the porn industry. And when people say, well, yeah, it just happened more in the porn industry, I say, well, how did you know that? And these are the people who is not a sex worker, like the outsider, or like, like it happens. It's like just because you hear about them doesn't mean it happens every time.
No.
I met so many smart women in this business.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I hate that. It's still like so frustrating and so like annoying.
So
It's
I love doing all these type of interview because I want to show the world, like broadcast to the world that not all of us is the same, and hopefully we can change the opinion of everybody, but hopefully they would rethink their opinion.
Absolutely. I definitely want to keep going on that note for sure. I did want to touch on something that you said too in terms of like success and almost like pressure. At least I mean, I understand where you're coming from. Pressure from like Asian parents to become successful and what that success is. And like I just wanted to make a comment that like I just feel like growing up in an Asian household, there is an immense amount of pressure to become successful, and it's like how do you feel about that growing up and like looking back on the choices that you've made and how far you've come in your career? I would love to hear your just comments on that.
I'm happy with the choice that I made because I did it to myself. If I make a mistake, I know it was my own decisions that made the mistake. And of course, going college, I went to a fashion school or studying business is completely opposite from what my mom wanted me to be, a lawyer or going to become an RN nurse.
Yes.
It's like, can you be imagine me as a nurse? Like I can't. Well, I can because I would forget all your pills. And I would just
Sorry.
bullshit my way through the day and I would just forget everything. And it just like, but they didn't care that that's not who you are. They just think, well, like everybody become a nurse. Why can't you become a nurse? Because everyone else is doing it. And there's not very much of a individuality in the Asian community,
Hmm.
and you want to do it because you want to make your parents happy. So a lot of people go into nursing or lawyer just because it's a status, like in the Asian family. And you know how it is with the Asian culture, it's always about like this status, this like, oh, what people think about my kid. Oh,
Yes.
so my mom could be like, oh, at the nail salon, like, oh, my daughter is so and so. I'm sure she doesn't want to say my daughter is a porn star. So, but she doesn't want to say all that. She
Yeah.
rather say, "Oh, my daughter is a nurse. My daughter married this guy," and it just like I didn't. I didn't see my life like that. I didn't want they set me up for an arranged marriage at 18, and I didn't want to be married at 18. Like I want to live my life. And so I feel like the porn decision was what I needed back then because it's more like a bold statement to them that I didn't give a fuck about what they think anymore. Um, I was living like 15, 20 years of being told what to do, and I was miserable every day because that you couldn't make any of your own decisions. Everything was decided for you. You have no say in it. You just like this individual that don't exist, and everything was just like, make a decision. You should talk to this guy. You should go marry this guy. Why didn't you, like talk to him? How come you didn't talk to him? I remember like they trying to set me up with this guy, and he was buying me jewelry and stuff. I didn't talk to him because I just didn't feel like talking to him. But my parent was very like old fashioned. Everything is a business proposal. So because he was a son of so and so, and it's just a better business like decision together if we got married. Um, so like I didn't want my life to be decided for me when I was 18. So joining porn was more like a fuck you.
Yeah. I love that.
It's it's,
I
it's
definitely
like
agree with that.
And when they find out, they say they were crying. I remember my mom was crying and
Oh
because
my
she sent
gosh.
me a picture. So like I opened my phone. I was like, oh, it was
Oh,
like a
shit.
gangbang pictures of me. It was just like all the dick like an
Oh
article.
my Oh my god. Wait. Okay. How did your parents even find out? Like, oh my
I don't know. Somebody, my cousin or something, who sent it. I don't know. Somebody in my family must have found it, but it was a picture, and
Oh fuck.
it was not even a hardcore or like softcore picture. It was like hardcore with like Ajax around my face and
Oh my god.
such.
I'm sorry. That's like really funny, but like also
Oh,
horrifying too, I'm sure.
it is because like yeah, my mom sent me the text. She didn't say anything. She just sent me a pictures of the gangbangs.
Oh my god. Did you reply? Have you guys talked? Like, oh my goodness.
I put, haha.
You were a master
I
troll.
didn't. I didn't know what to say. I
Yeah.
mean, what am I gonna say? I'm sorry because I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for what I did. I just say, haha, like I make a joke out of it because she always had problem with me never take things seriously. Like
Mm.
I would joke about everything and like about serious stuff. I don't take things seriously. So uh, and then she called me. She was crying. She was like, "You're so smart. You can do so many other things. Why did you have to do this? Like, it's not for smart people. Were you forced to do it?" And I was like, "No,
Oh,
I wasn't forced to do it." I said, "Yeah, I know I'm smart, so I'm gonna show you, like, like how I can make this a business."
yeah, because it is a business. It literally is a business. Your
It
brand
is a
is your
business.
business.
Yeah, I'm so busy. Like compared to when I work a 9 to 5 job, I clock out at 5 o'clock. Now I work 24/7. So
Yeah, yeah, and people don't see that sometimes. They don't view it that way, and like, I mean, let's just talk about like how little 9 to 5 jobs can pay because I've also been there as well, and I just completely refuse an office or corporate job because I'm just like I'm not slaving for 8 hours a day to be getting paid like 60K a year. Like there's
yeah, and
no
And you gotta ask for 2 weeks notice. You gotta ask for permissions.
permission.
It's like I want to make my own shit. Like I'm not here to ask for permissions. And yeah, I do work 24/7, but I loved it because it's what I want to do. So I feel like, I'm working for myself and that you're just more happy because people just like, well, how hard is the work it is? You just show up on set and open your legs. Like I think somebody said that to me, then that's why they didn't count like sex work as work.
It is
I
definitely
said,
work.
yeah, actually, for the 30 minutes on Pornhub that you saw, it's actually takes 6 to 8 hours on set to just shoot that amount of 30 minutes of footage.
Right, right.
And I feel like a lot of people, when I tell them that, they kind of like, well, 6 to 8 hours. I'm like, yeah, that's just a normal gonzo scene. Like because you gotta, like makeup, photos, interviews, and all that stuff going into it. So yes, it is work because I do work 8 hours. And then after that, you have your own platforms like OnlyFans, and I have my own OnlyFans. You gotta edit video, you gotta shoot content for that. So yeah, I do work with around the clock, but I feel like a lot of people don't understand that.
No, no, they definitely don't. Again, people just see what again, like what they see in Pornhub or whatever that's already like the finished product. I'm like, listen, there's so much stuff behind the scenes, and even with platforms like fan sites and subscription sites, like you mentioned, like OnlyFans, with that coming to the picture now, that's like a 24/7 job.
Yeah,
There's a
and
lot
I
of
love
to do.
that. I love that there are platforms for us out there that so that we can all make money. Because before it's only the porn star make money, but now the webcammers, strippers, cosplayers, we can all make money. I'm all about woman empowerment. I want you to do what you like to do, and just like not needing a man. Just I mean, have a sugar daddy and have they pay, but you do not need him.
No. I love that. I love and highly recommend
Call
having
it.
sugar daddies.
I call it make sure OPM other people money.
I love that. And you know what? I just feel like, um, sex work can be really empowering. It's not for some, sure, because it is job, it is work. But for a lot of us, including myself, and I'll speak personally on this, it is really empowering because, as you mentioned, and all the things you had mentioned earlier too, just having that freedom, being your own boss, being an entrepreneur, and really like honing this as your baby, like this is your business. I think it's so, so empowering and also just so great that you can just do something for yourself and not be um, like stuck and shackled within the walls of like a corporate job. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a corporate job for anyone listening out there. I know a lot of people that moonlight and do sex work at nighttime or in their off times and do like corporate 9 to 5 during the day. That's totally fine. Whatever works for you. But I believe in freedom as much as I
And
can.
I love this job, but there I also come encounter with a lot of girls that want to get into business because they think OnlyFans or porn just make quick money like this. It is true, the money does come quick, but you also have to work for it. So it's all come down to the work ethic. You can't just be lazy and not shoot content or not posting content or not show up on set and think the money would just appear. It don't work like that. It's still a real job. Is so I feel like a lot of girls just misunderstanding this part. Like, well, it's sex work. I could just be looking pretty. I'm like, yes, pretty
Mhm.
helps, but you still gotta show up. You still gotta have that camera present. Like
Yeah.
I say, you cannot teach stage present.
No, no, and, like, being pretty and, like, hot and good looking, that stuff can only get you so far, but you've gotta have, like, a good work ethic. You have to be able to take work seriously. Like, for example, when I'm dancing at the club, I actually don't drink at the club when I'm working because
Yeah.
I don't know. It's for me, some people
Ugh.
do, and that's fine. But like for me, I dance sober, and it's because like I just want to make sure that I am 100% on my game, making that money and getting that bag. And sometimes alcohol can hinder that for myself personally.
Yes.
So
Yes,
yeah.
me too. So when I do like my featured tour dance,
Mhm.
because I get to get booked for like featured stage show, and I love that. I never been a stripper, so I can't dance, but I love being there in the room with my music on, and I just dance. So sometimes I just dance like I'm in my room. Sometimes I sing to the song, and you know what? People, my fans would come and they loved it because I'm enjoying myself. Like, yes,
Mhm.
I'm not the best dancer. I don't do pole dancing, and I love when a girls do pole dance. But I think the fans just want to see you have fun, not being there like, oh my God, like I don't want to be here. And I never drink. So a lot of the club owners, I do need like vodka or something like, no, I don't drink. I just me sober, just water. I'm high on
Yeah, yeah, me
life.
too.
I'm such a light drinker. So I'm so small. So like only like probably 2 glasses of wine and I'm done and I feel like bugging. So but when I do come to Vancouver, I definitely want to see you dance
Yes,
and
absolutely.
make it rain on you.
I would love that.
I love that. I love strip club. I love going to strip clubs and I just like making it rain on like the girls and stuff like that.
It's so much fun. I love being a stripper and I love dancing and just putting on that show for people and just connecting with the audience and just it's just so much fun for me. It just feels like dress up every day.
Yeah. And it's also, connecting, like you said. And I feel like that's the main part, whether you're a stripper, an OnlyFans model, or even a porn star. We have to find a connection with our fans. Um, because without that connection, it's like you're like the virtual girlfriend. Without a connection, these men just not willingly to spend money, on you or support you because there's no connections.
Right. And that's so important because, like, again, even going back to that being hot statement and people thinking the work is easy, like that can only really get you so far, and even like applies to stage shows as well. And just being on stage as a stripper, like people just think, one, I can just dance around the pole and look hot. Sure, that could only go so far, but like you want to be able to like connect with people in your on your rail and stuff, and just make jokes and kind of be silly and stuff too, and people want to see you having fun, you know?
You could just tell when a girl is not having fun because she would just show up and there's no vibe. She looks really hot, she have a nice body, but no one's tipping. But because she's not connecting with them, it's just like, well, I'm hot, so you should just spend money with. But there's girls on there who is not as hot, but she's playing around with the audience and making eye contacts and stuff. So I could tell the difference whenever I do like strip club tours.
Yeah, you can tell right away, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, well, speaking of other ventures and stuff, I know that you do other things as well, which I mean, a lot of
I
us do.
do.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about like your other business ventures because you are yeah, I hate the word girl boss, but you do a lot of shit. So, and you just own it.
I do. You know what? Because as much as I love the sex business, it's not sustainable. Um, we all gonna get older and the guys just gonna go for the younger girls, so it's not sustainable. So I tell people go into this business, make as much money as you can, but use that money that you make to invest in
Yes.
something else. Use it to invest in other stuff. So that's what I do. I invest in my other company, which is the mainstream companies. Um and outside of stock and stuff like that. I also do real estate and I just use the money you make to make more money later on so you can secure the futures after you're done with what you do because you probably don't want to right now you can but you probably don't want to be naked like when you're in your 40s or your 50s, so I just have to think ahead of time for your retirement.
Yeah.
And that's why I build now so that later on I could just be on the beach, sipping on mimosa. But you have to build now. Like
Yeah.
it can't be built like when you're ready. It has to start building now until like later on when it can supplement your sex work money. So by that time you don't want to do it anymore, then it's okay.
Yeah.
I think for me, I like options. I want to be able to have options that if I don't want to do this anymore, I love being, this sex work jobs and I love that. But sometimes it's just not like your body age. It just doesn't as much as we don't want to accept it. You will look older, your body age, you might are not as energetic to be on set as you were before. You start getting sore.
Oh my god. There's injuries that happen, like, your body
Yeah,
isn't like
you
20
you can
anymore.
crawl around stage as you get older. So I say I love the business, but I have to be realistic because the sex business is not sustainable. So we all
Mhm.
have to figure out what other things that you do. I
Mhm.
always tell my girlfriends, I see potential in every woman because if you can make it in this business, you can make it in any other business. What
Oh,
else do
yeah.
you want to do? Like what other hobbies you like to do and work on that.
Yeah, and make
So
that into
start
your
building now.
business. Totally. And that's so important too because like as you mentioned earlier in the episode, like money can come fast, right? And it can be spent really fast. And we've all been there. We've all been there, you know, like wanting to buy that purse or whatever, like going out to like going treating all your friends and all that stuff. That's
Yes.
fine. But like it doesn't
That's
last
fine,
forever.
you know, make your money, live your life. Obviously, you work hard for that money, so of course, you know, like live your life, but then also think about like investing on the other side as well. And I don't usually talk about my business on the side outside of like the sex work because I feel like most men don't really want to know about that. Like it's so nerdy. So
I
like
love it.
most
I like to
people
hear
want to
about
hear me
it.
talk about like my typical days is looking at data and numbers and just it's like not sexy, you know?
Well, you know, there's a lot of other people that listen to the show too. Like a lot of your fans, I'm sure, are gonna be listening to the show. But a lot of fellow sex workers and a lot of like vanilla people listen to the show as well. So I'm sure that they'd be interested in hearing that too, and also just to hear the diversity that comes with sex work and the doors that it can open for people as well because you mentioned like seeing potential in so many of your colleagues that you work with. I also see so much potential in like lots of people as well. And like I also understand that sex work is not going to be an option for me forever, and at some point I'm going to be leaving the industry.
Yeah,
So I'm also like investing in my future as well. Like I have like two houses, I rent one out, like I have tenants
yeah,
and make money that
yeah,
way. And
exactly.
it's hard.
Exactly. I love that. That's what I do too. So I love that. You have to think, doesn't matter how much you love living in the moment, and I do, but you have to think 10 years from now. What are you gonna do? Are you still gonna be doing what are you doing right now? Are you still shooting OnlyFans? Like, you know, like I don't want to just be stuck with one income. I told the girls like diversify. So just very what else can bring in the income for you besides the sex business? Because let's say hopefully it won't happen, but let's say OnlyFans go out of business, what will
Yeah,
happen?
and they almost did for a lot of us last year, like with with the terms
Yeah,
and conditions.
with the adult stuff, right? Like what will happen? Every people freaked out. Like I remember when that happened, I went on social media, everybody's freaked out because that's the only income they have. So we need to change that. And I tell all my girlfriends, it's like, we need to change that. What else would you do? Do you like sewing? Okay, do something. Do you like doing eyelashes? Now do open a studio. Like, do you like to cook? This so like as much as we love being sexual, this we are also good at other things. And for me it's more like a business, creating business for me. That's what I'm good at. I'm good at data. I'm good at analyzing stuff. I'm not good with like sewing or anything like that.
No, me either.
So I'm good with numbers. I'm good at looking at trends, but you know, analyzing and stuff like that. So that's what I'm good at. So you have to, I tell them to use the sex work money as more of a ladder to, so that you have that money to fund it into the next adventures of
Totally.
what you want to do 40, 50 years later.
Yeah, that's so important because it's really I feel sometimes and this is not only for people that are in sex work. I see this for other people in other industries in the vanilla world as well, but like really putting all of their eggs in one basket and just relying on that. And I just feel like that's so dangerous and especially in the world that we live in today, like I find it so hard for people to survive on just one job or one income. Like I am always like, okay, I need as much residual income as I can. I need different streams of income coming in to live comfortably and also just so I don't have to work as hard at like one job or one gig, right? Like and I think like what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so the point is not work as hard. The point is to bring in as much money without, you know, actually be on the job. So you have to create a business that could be automated so that when you take yourself out of the equation, we take Stephanie out of your equation. Will your business survive? Now, let's say for your real estate business, if you take you out, you go on vacation, they still paying you rent.
Hmm. Exactly.
So then that's what I want to do, and that's what I do, but off camera. So a lot of people just oh, okay, well, she's Cindy, she go on set. But outside of that, I work on other things so that I can ensure my futures when I don't want to be Cindy anymore.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think people need to think about that at some point because yeah, I mean, a lot of people, there's like a lot of older sex workers, and that's totally fine. You do what you do. But at the same time, like, what happens if you have an injury or something happens or a medical, like,
Yeah,
whatever, like,
anything
transition out?
anything involve you, like your whole body, like you
Body.
need to be there, there's something always can happen, you know what I mean? So it's just like you have to find some other way that doesn't need your body just to actually physically be there. Just the point is work smarter, not
Yeah.
harder.
I was just gonna say that. It's like one of my favorite mottos. It's so true though. It's so true.
And it's not lazy because you just because as much as I like to think, and a lot of girls don't realize that, well, I'm hot right now, like I'm really hot, everyone loves me, and because one of my other business is marketing, like helping girls behind the scene,
Oh, cool.
and I just like, well, you are hot right now, and but that's right now. You know how much turnover the sex business does.
Oh, yeah.
Every girl is literally a new 18 years old, 19 years old girls, and how do we compete with that? We can't,
Right.
because as much as you love it, the fan will always want to get a new girls, because new girls just make money.
Yeah.
Porn production company loves new girls because
Yes.
they haven't shot them before. You
Right.
know, so you are hot right now, but tomorrow there's another Cindy gonna come into the business.
Totally. I
And
mean,
it's just the way the world works.
yeah, I mean, especially in the industry too. Like, I mean, I would love to kind of go further on that tangent really quickly as well. But like, did you ever feel threatened with like new talent coming in, or like, how do you view your own longevity and like your career pathway? I would really love to hear about that.
Um, I had a good conversation with my friends the other day, and she's worked more back behind the scenes for the production. And she said a normal porn girl, and you would be shocked, or maybe not, but a normal porn girl's careers last 9 months. So
Mm,
if you can make it
right.
past 9 months in the business, you basically made it. So I've been in the business for about 10 years now.
Yeah,
And
that's amazing.
it,
Congratulations, by the way.
thank you. I feel like I missed the 9 months mark. And I told her, wow, 9 months. And she said, yeah, because a lot of girls got in the business without realizing what sex work really involved. And they just couldn't handle it. Or when they get a lot of money right away and they just blow it. And a lot of porn, or not professional, a lot of porn company don't shoot them anymore. And it's just a variety of thing of how you can make a career out of this. Now, for me, people loved me because when I came in 10 years ago, I still look the same as I am now 10 years later.
Asian
I don't have
genes.
any tattoo. Yeah, thank God, right? Okay, I thank my parents for
Yeah,
that
thanks,
one.
mom and dad.
Yeah. So I still look the same. Because if you have to think, a lot of people don't think in terms of branding. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of
Yeah.
people see, oh, I come into the sex business, but they don't see you are the product. Steph, you are the product. The reason customer come to you because you are who you are. You're friendly, you're fun. There's no other stuff out there. And that's why Cindy is the brand. And when it comes to the brand, and a lot of girls, when they start changing up, like getting a lot of plastic surgery, and I'm okay with that. I'm not against it. I'm not against with anything like that or get tattoo. You changing the brand and what make your customer like you in the beginning.
Yes.
They loved me because I just look like a nerd. I look like the girl next door to them. Like I don't
Yeah.
have any tattoo. You could introduce me to your mom.
Yeah.
Um, and I stay the same. So I remember when I first got in, people in the porn business was like, you need to get big boob, you need to, do this and this. And I say, why? Why do I need to get big boob? And she said, well, everybody does it. Every porn star have big boob. I'm like, you're right, but why do I want to look like them? So if you ask me if I compare myself to the new girls, I'm like, I love that when they become successful, but I don't compare myself to them because we're in different paths.
Hmm.
People love you for who I am, and people will love you step for who you are. So I feel like I'm not trying to compete with them. I'm more
Yeah.
competing with myself.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so I stay the same, and I just say, I ditched that manager. I say, no, I'm not gonna get a boob job because
Yeah.
people will like me for my natural boob.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good, but there are some men
That
that
loves
love
that.
natural things. We don't all have to look like all Botox out with our lips
Yeah.
like this. Like we don't need to. If
No,
every girl who wants to do that, great for them, and that's what they want to do, but that's not who I want to be. And so in a way with branding, you have to differentiate yourself from the rest of your competitors. And I think my fans stick with me because I haven't changed.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, as you mentioned, because this is you. This there, you've stayed true to your branding and your identity that's out there. I think that's super cool. One quick last thing as well. I mean, like coming into the industry a decade ago, um, were there a lot of Asian porn stars to look up to? Like,
Partly.
right?
I think when I got in, Asa Akira was there.
Yes,
So
love
she was
Asa.
I remember Asa Akira and London Keys and Kehlani Lay, Charmaine Starr were like the few big one. Um, I looked up to them because I was like, wow, they're so beautiful, and I'm able to talk to them. And but there weren't a lot, and in a way, it helps us being Asian because there's not many of us in there, so we consider like the exotic. And I love
Yes.
playing up all that stereotype. I don't mind because a lot of people think like, well, do you think being Asian, doesn't help you with the business? I think being Asian is great in the business because a lot of men have Asian fetish
They do have
and
a lot of Asian fetishes for sure.
so, yeah, I mean, my accent kind of don't get me a lot of roles because of my accent, and I was very insecure about it in the beginning.
Oh,
Like, my manager was telling me to go take speech class and everything,
what?
but
Oh my gosh.
yeah, but I couldn't change it,
No,
right?
no.
So it come to the point, like after a year in the business, I realized that people actually loved me for my accent. Like that's actually like on my OnlyFans, they will ask all the time for my voice clip because of my accent. So I just like I like that. So I love that my fans love me for who I am, and I didn't have to change it.
I love that. Oh, that makes me so happy because, like, I mean, just of course, now we're seeing a surge of more Asian representation, not just in porn, but just like in like widespread media, which has been so nice. And like with like the AAPI, like Stop Asian Hate and all that stuff, I think that's really like helping us leverage up, which is amazing. And I was so happy that you were able to say yes to this interview because I was like, oh my God, this is so great. Like, I like try to diversify my audience as much as I can, but like just to have like a big star like you on the show has just been so amazing. And I love seeing a sister like me on the
Oh,
show.
thank you. I love it. I love talking to people like you who's also, can relate to my story as well.
Yeah, definitely. But I know we have a few minutes left here, so I just want to share a couple things from the fans. I mean, honestly, a lot of the stuff that came in was just like, "Oh my god, you got Cindy on the show." I'm like, we love her. Those were most of the comments that came in.
Yay. Thank you so much for loving me and supporting me.
Thank you. And like, yeah,
I
shout out to
appreciate it.
everyone. Shout out to everyone that sent a few messages in. There was one question that came in as well from Instagram. And this person writes in, is there something you find uniquely positive about Vietnamese culture regarding sexuality or sex work?
We are very sexual individuals. Just it doesn't matter we show it or not. I consider Vietnamese cultures is like what's that phrase American use? Like a lady on the street, but a
A
freak
freak
in
in the
the sheet.
sheets. Yeah. So true.
And we know how to make like a man happy, but more than that, we have a really good work ethic coming from an Asian cultures. We know how it works, like we gotta put into work. We're not entitled to take whatever, but we know that whatever we want, we have to work for it. So I do love that I did grow up over there. So I know that, whatever I need to do, whatever, if I want to survive in this business, I need to have a good work ethic and be professional about it. Um, it's not just because it's sex work that you could just show up whenever you want. Um, so I do love that about my culture. But yes, I do like being outside. Whenever I'm outside, you don't know who I am. You just think I'm just like a little girl. So it's a lot of people. It's just sometime when I was eating pho, and then like this two cute Asian girl waitress would come to me and she said, "Oh my God, I'm so huge fans. I love all like gangbang hardcore." And I said, "Whoa, you watch that?" Because I'm just like so surprised because we all look very, cute and innocent on the
Innocent.
outside. But in the back, like we just love the most extreme shit.
I love the contrast. Yeah, you'd be surprised. Real spicy. We could be really spicy for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, we definitely have a Vietnamese tempers as well. So
Oh, yes. I was just I don't want to stereotype, but yes, like my Vietnamese girlfriends, you don't want to fuck with them. They're fucking scary.
we can go from like 0 to 100. There's like no between, no in between. It's 0 to 100.
I love that. I mean, on that note, Cindy, this is such a fantastic conversation and thank you so much for your time. But before I let you go, where can our audience find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Cindy Starfall or on Instagram at C Starfall. Make sure to join my OnlyFans, Club Starfall, so that you can get in touch with me and we can talk every day.
That's super great. All those links are in the show notes below, so be sure to peep that if you haven't already. For everyone else listening, it's Stripped by Sia on Twitter, Stripped by Sia on Instagram, also on Patreon, Stripped by Sia. And if you want to get at me on my personal, it's Sia Steph, and I also have an OnlyFans. Feel free to subscribe. And that is it for this week's episode. It's new episodes every single Sunday, and on every listening platform, every podcast platform. So if you are on Apple listening, be sure to write us a nice little review saying you enjoyed the episode or give me any feedback, whether it's good or bad, and rate 5 stars on Spotify if you so choose, because that helps a lot of people find the show. But for everyone else, that's it for today. Cindy, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really had so much fun chatting with you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, great questions.
Thank you. And that's bye for now for everyone else. Bye. You're listening to Stripped by Sia, hosted, produced, and edited by Steph Sia. Music by Ted D. Graphic design by Maria Bellandarama, and photography by Ian Dabrin.